Here we go. We're going to get started, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today. And it looks like we have Shauna Manhire joining. I don't think you can hear yet. And Shauna, wait, just write her name down, Judy, and I know where she's from. So I sent out the PowerPoint. If anyone, for any reason, has problems seeing the presentation, you should have the PowerPoint on the email from me last Sunday or Monday, whenever you saw it. And so we have our agenda. We're going to go through quite a few things. So I'm not going to go over every single slide, but it's there for you to reference later. And as you can see, we have in this cohort of schools, we have 17 schools. This is our largest new school cohort ever. And so it's pretty exciting. There are folks from all over the state. And we, as we go through, sorry, is somebody trying to ask a question? Oh, okay. Maybe there's just a little bit of background noise. And then there's information for how to contact all of us at the Idaho Lives Project. And I'm Jennifer Dickey. And joining us is Judy Gabbard. And then we also have Andrea Eschen, who was not available today either. We all have availability issues sometimes. So there is our contact information, and we only have one shared cell phone, so I didn't just put in everybody's personal cell phone, but we are absolutely available for a call anytime. So just send us an email and we will set up a call with you if you want to discuss anything on the phone. And then also very good resource is the National Sources of Strength organization. We are affiliated with them, but it is its own entity. Idaho Lives Project is an entity that just does Sources of Strength trainings throughout the state of Idaho. And the Sources of Strength national organization has schools in almost every state trained. I think more than half of the states. They're in other countries even, and it's a very well-established program and has a lot of history behind it. It's been going, Judy, I think, is it 1996 when they started? Oh, Judy's on mute. She's going to give us a little overview of Sources of Strength in a minute, so she can give that background. But Judy is one of our national, certified Sources of Strength trainers for the state, and has been with the project since the beginning, as you'll see as I launch into my Idaho Lives Project overview. But so Judy knows a lot about the project and Sources of Strength, and has been involved since the beginning. And Idaho Lives Project started in 2013 when Judy Gabbard and Kim Kane, who is now she's the manager of the State Suicide Prevention Program at the Department of Health and Welfare. And so Judy and Kim applied for a federal grant in 2000. Well, it was still 2013. They got awarded the grant in 2013, October timeframe of 2013, and they started training schools in Sources of Strength in the spring semester of 2014. So we have been training schools since then, and we at this point have 63 schools trained throughout the state of Idaho, and we will be adding 17 this fall, and so we will have 80 at the end of this calendar or school year. Then I know that everybody has probably got Sources of Strength fresh on the brain, but there are also some people who don't know everything about sources of strength. So I was going to have Judy just give a very brief refresher or overview of sources of strength. So Judy, I will let you take it from here.
Okay, and you know, we're so excited to bring Sources of Strength to schools, to anybody, because it's one of the best programs out there. It is a national best practice, researched, ongoing research for probably 15 years now. It's the only program of its kind. It believes in peer leaders being trained to know they have trusted adults, and then to learn that they also have strengths. And so that when they have a tough time, they know that they have strengths to rely on. And if they're worried about someone in the school or in their community, they know how to access these trusted adults and get that person to help. And we don't train these kids as junior psychologists or counselors. They are not. They listen, but their only job is to get those who need it to help. And we train them that way. We know that this is an evidence-based program. It's proven to bring connectedness to schools, increase student engagement. We know that it increases the likelihood that students will refer a friend to an adult. We know that it increases kids' feelings about having adults in their life. It also promotes that, hey, we all have tough times and sometimes we need to get help. So it promotes help seeking. And quite frankly, it's had a really good impact on those kids with a history of suicidal ideation. It's a fun program. We call it a well-being program at this point, because when people know they have strengths and resiliencies, they start doing better in all areas of their life. So, and you'll hear a lot more about that when we come do the adult advisor training.
Thanks,
Anything
Judy.
you want to add there?
Did you mention that one of the primary tasks, or not tasks, but one of the primary activities that the Sources of Strength teams do is to push that message of strengths out into their peer groups? And so that, and it's very fun. It's a very positive program, and it's been shown to reduce all kinds of risky negative behaviors, such as bullying, substance abuse, and all kinds of violence. And so you are bringing in the state-of-the-art program, the top tier, most well-researched, as Judy said. So we are thrilled to be able to bring it to schools throughout the state. And one of the big aims is to get this out into communities. So if you can start getting your kids to present to your Rotary clubs or your Lion clubs, or to the staff, for sure, it's really a great thing to get that kind of common language and those concepts out into the community. It helps everyone, and people use it as they go into adulthood. I've used it with my own family. I use it with myself, and Judy would say the same. It's not just another club. It's not just another honor society or a ski team. It's something that they will learn and integrate into their lives, and it will be very powerful for those students who are in a strong and robust program. So So one thing to keep in mind is that if you aren't seeing like immediate benefits, you want to keep, this is a very upstream program, and you are going to be instilling these resiliencies and coping skills and all of these things that the students are going to be learning. They're going to be learning and integrating over time, and it takes time to change a culture and to improve your school climate. So just keep with it. It really does make a difference. And we've seen that, we've been doing this since 2014, and the schools that are running this program are, and have it actively running it, actively going, they are seeing just really stellar results and talk about it all the time. So with that, thank you, Judy. I'm going to hop into more about, some of the things that people want to know is, okay, so what does this look like? What's a Sources of Strength team? So you're going to have adult advisors. You can start selecting or recruiting or identifying and talking to potential adult advisors now. And I would recommend that you start building that team now. You don't need to worry about selecting peer leaders until the fall. But I would at least have a good idea of adult advisors that you want to bring on as part of your team next year to be part of the adult advisor training when ILP, Idaho Lives Project, will come and do the trainings. So, and some other questions I've gotten is that, just to clarify, ILP does come to your school and do the training on site. Or if you had, for example, a fire station nearby, we go to your building or place that's going to work for you. And so your adult advisors, you want them to have a strong rapport with students and to be people who have a positive attitude and are connected to a lot of students, and that students look up to, that students go to. So this does not have to be a staff member. We have some schools that have community members. The only thing that we want to keep in mind with inviting a community member is that they should be available during the time of day that you identify as the best time for your students and the rest of your team to have your Source of Strength planning and meetings. So that's the only thing to keep in mind with a community member. If they don't have a flexible job, or they're not in a situation where they can come in the middle of the day, that could be an issue. But community members are definitely part of Source of Strength teams in several of our schools, and it's worked out very well in some schools. And try to find people, I know this is hard in schools, who are not already just overwhelmed, have an overflowing plate of extra duties. But you want, and counselors are one of the primary targets that already are overwhelmed, and I get that. So you want to have at least 2 or 3 people who are going to be part of that core team and carry out the activities. But essentially the ratio we recommend, that the national organization recommends, is 1 adult advisor to every 10 students, and 1 adult advisor to every 7 students if you have a high-risk population. And the way that you determine how many students are on your team is that you aim for 10% of your student body population. But if you have a large school, you want to cap that at 60, because for that initial training, if we have a lot more than 60, it's very difficult to have an effective training. And then as the year goes on, or in subsequent years, that's when you bring on new peer leaders, and you want to eventually have 10% of your student body, but it might take you 3 years to get to that, for example, and that's fine. You can also, well, when we come and do a booster, the year after we do this initial training, we'll come in the fall and do a booster training, which is essentially the peer leader adult advisor joint training, just with a few tweaks to it. That's a great time to add new peer leaders, because obviously some of your kids are going to be moving on to either college or other things in life, or if you're in a middle school or junior high, they'll be going on to the high school. So you're going to be losing students every year just because of that. And sometimes there'll be attrition because some students it's just not something that they decide to stay with. So you want to take the opportunity to bring on students when we come and do the booster. And we just got additional funding, so we will be able to do more frequent boosters. Whereas for the original cohorts, we only did one booster after that first year, but we will be able to do a booster. The aim is, the goal is to be able to do a booster every other year for our schools. So just keep that in mind. And when you are looking at adding your adult advisors, just think of people that are positive, have that good connection with kids, good attitude, are going to be able to make time for this. It usually, the national organization says that it's about 40 hours per school year. That is what you're looking at for time invested as an adult advisor. So that's a good sort of guideline to keep in mind. And if you have a small school, if you're at a small school, some of our smaller schools, getting 4 adult advisors is quite a stretch. So we say 4 to 8 as our sweet spot. But you can have fewer if you really need to, and you can have more. We have some schools that have 15 adult advisors, some of the larger schools. So that, with all that, there are guidelines, but you can do what works for you, and also just talk to us, and we'll just give you our opinion, and you can go take it from there. So that's on adult advisors, and there's going to be plenty of time for questions at the end. So I hope, as long as I don't get too long-winded here. And then in the fall, you will select your peer leaders. Now, also in the fall, there is a webinar that the National Sources of Strength organization has produced that you will watch with your adult advisors, all the adult advisors on the team. And it goes over the social network concept that is the basis of Sources of Strength. It talks a lot about the history, how they came to developing this program, and it talks a lot more about selecting peer leaders and how to do that really well. So these are some general guidelines. But don't worry, there will be more information presented in the fall. We used to have these ILP webinars in the fall, but I really felt that schools, after they get the grant award notification, that there are quite a few questions, and they're probably helpful to do these hour portion now. And you actually have let's see, I think it's in the PowerPoint. It's in one of or it might be in the implementation overview. There's a link to that Sources of Strength webinar if you, for any reason, wanted to watch it beforehand. You don't have to wait until the school year starts when you start thinking about nominating your kids. But the idea with the peer leaders is you want to get students who are seen as peers in their peer group. And you want every peer group. You don't just want the high achievers or the ones that are the rock stars. To spread this message throughout every corner of your school community, you need to get kids from every group that are seen as leaders within that group. And one of the other target audiences or target groups you could pull from are the kids who are connected to kids on the periphery, the kids who may be really at much higher risk and don't really seem connected to almost anybody. So just keep those kids in mind too. The students who are at really high risk and seen as the quote unquote problem kids, they benefit from sources of strength probably more than anybody. So just keep that in mind, and when you're building your team. And so in the fall semester, it'll still be summer, but in the first semester of 2018, you are going to send out, distribute to your staff a peer leader nomination letter. Staff are going to turn that in, and then you will come together as a team. It's your choice who you want on that team. Maybe you want all the adult advisors and the administrative staff, but you're going to select from these nominated kids to get to 10% of your student body population, or the cap of 60. And then you'll send home a letter that explains what sources of strength is, and explains what this means to be part of this group. And those kids are going to bring that letter signed by their guardian or parent back to school, and those are for you to keep. That it's not anything we have to have, but you just want to keep that for your records. And so that is essentially how you are going to build your student team. And that, just to be clear, you don't need to worry about till next semester, at the beginning of the school year. Go ahead, Judy.
And we provide all of that. You don't have to make up the letter or anything. It'll all be provided to you.
Of course not. Correct.
And the nomination.
Yep, all of those materials are provided. They're all developed by Sources of Strength National Organization, and we customize them and tweak them a little bit. And you are welcome to change them. If you want to change the wording or anything, you are absolutely welcome to make any changes that work best for you. So let's see, I think I just am going the wrong direction. Then, so just to let you know how the training actually works, we will do you have an option on the gatekeeper training. Now it's for all of your staff. We really want to get your bus drivers, your cafeteria workers, your custodians into this gatekeeper training, because they are often kids or adults who will be able to notice changes in kids. The gatekeeper training is essentially a suicide prevention 101, and it talks about warning signs, things to look for, be on alert for in kids, and maybe when they need to be referred to the counselor. And so that's why, a lot of the auxiliary staff have a very good and different rapport with students than teachers even do. So that's why we like to get them into the training. We understand that it can be difficult because of contracts, but that is our recommendation. And just work with us, and if we have to do your gatekeeper training after your source of strength training, that's okay. We understand you probably need to utilize your professional development days. So that's the 2-hour option. We can also do a 4-hour option where we do a mini sources of strength training. And that's really fantastic because it teaches all of your staff about strengths and about what sources of strength is. And then if you, for some reason, have turnover in staff next year, you have other staff who know about what sources of strength is, and maybe they're jazzed about it and they want to be part of that team. And so it's that's an option for you. I understand getting 4 hours with everybody is a little bit difficult, but we've done that at actually a lot of schools, and they love it. So that's just something to keep in mind as an option. But part of the grant really does require that you have at least this 2-hour gatekeeper training, because we don't want students to be referring their friends when the adults around them aren't quite sure what to do when there's someone in a mental health crisis, emotional crisis, or suicidal even. So that's why we need to do that. And then after that, usually that's first, but it doesn't have to be. And then there's a 5-hour adult advisor training, and we've been doing 4-hour trainings, but we really would like 5 hours. You can work with Judy on that. Judy is our adult advisor trainer extraordinaire. She's pretty much the only one we let do it in Idaho because she's so good. But we're going to change that because there are too many schools to be trained with just her doing it. But anyway, we would like 5 hours, because if you get enough time to really explain the program, show everybody some of the resources online, and really go through in detail, they have a much better, your adult advisor team will have a much better handle on how to run a meeting. They'll be ready to roll right into their meetings. Whereas sometimes in the past, when we did 3 or 4 hour adult advisor trainings, that they would have a hard time getting started. And so we are recommending, and the national guys have gone to 5 hours, and they're even recommending 6 hours on the adult advisor. So we would like to do 5 hours. And then for the peer, when you bring in the peer leaders, the students, that's with the adult advisors as well. And it's really important that those adult advisors are present and participating in that training. They have to be one of the team. They have to be one of the kids, essentially. There's no, oh, I'm a teacher and I don't do the silly stuff. So everybody does silly stuff when you're in these source of strength trainings. And it's not just silly, it's very fun silly. We play a lot of games that are active and help break down barriers and build camaraderie, bring this group together as a team, because a lot of these kids, they might not even know each other because they're from such disparate groups. And so it's really important that we have everybody together and everybody participating. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that we really need everybody fully available and participating through both of those trainings. And some of the schools where the program hasn't really flourished, they were schools where the adult advisor team was not able, for some reason. It's not always that they just don't want to. They got pulled out for something. And so they really need to have that good solid foundation. And the difference between a flourishing program and a kind of limping program is that adult advisor team. And you really need to have them bought in and enthusiastic about it and understanding the program. And so that's what those 2 days of training are about. And then we come back in the fall, as I mentioned before, and essentially redo that peer leader and adult advisor joint combined training. We tend to call it just a peer leader training, but it's peer leaders with the adults. And there are a few changes to the booster training, is what we call it, but it's essentially the same thing. And that's why it's such a great time to bring in new adult advisors, new students, and so on. So that happens fall of 2019. We try to get you ready to run with your program, early in the year. And so we'll be trying to get that scheduled for September of 2019. And that is, woo-hoo, keep going the wrong way. That's sort of the training logistics. We will give you a lot more information about selecting your room and all of the other things that you're going to want to do. In fact, that's on your implementation overview. Not sure I want to take a lot of time to walk through that, but I sent that with the webinar information, and it talks about what type of room that you're going to have lunch for everybody. So just keep in mind that there are a lot of details in there that you might have questions about right now, but this will all be way more relevant as you get into September, October in 2018 coming school year. And also, the implementation overview is kind of nice in that it's got a timeline, a generalized timeline that you can look through and just make sure that you're on track for getting ready for your training and continuing your sessions. I'm not sure if we just had somebody join. I don't think so. And then, as everyone knows, the grant came with some funds for you to use to implement your program and support your program. $2,400. It comes in two periods or two payments. You will get $1,200 at the beginning of next that fall semester, and that should come straight from the State Department of Education. They are our partners in this endeavor. And so Matt McCarter, he's director of student engagement, and he is essentially who we report to, and he administers the funds from the state. And so the State Department of Education will transfer to your district $1,200, and it will be tagged as for your school, for your Sources of Strength program. And you can use those dollars, those funds, to pay for the lunch that you need to provide for that team, which should just be a simple lunch, sandwiches or pizza. It's definitely nothing elaborate. You can use it to pay for substitutes for the staff or the teachers who will be on that adult advisor team. So those are things to keep in mind, that those funds can help cover those kinds of costs. The only thing we really have any request or stipulation on those funds is that you keep $500 for student activities. Maybe the students want to buy some materials so they can do certain kind of posters or messaging campaign of some sort. So, and you can carry these funds over, so it's not like they all have to be spent in this school year. And there will be another $1,200 transferred to your district again at the end of the school year, after all of the surveys and forms are submitted. So that's pretty much the story on the school stipend that came with this grant. The forms and surveys we have to collect as part of our funding by the state, so that we can provide this training for free to schools, and the stipend and the support and all. We do a peer leader and all staff pre-training survey at the beginning of the fall semester, or some schools may end up with their training in the spring. So Just keep that in mind. So before your training, we need to get everyone surveyed just to get a baseline. And then at the end of the school year, or we would like at least 3 months after that initial training, we will collect a post-training survey to see if there, and this will continue every year. We will request this, and the post-training surveys. And we will be measuring performance outcomes and reporting to the state. But all of it is at a de-identified, anonymized report. It's not at the individual level. So names are not reported. Even school names don't need to be reported. They are just looking for what's happening in the aggregate at that school level. Then there's a team assessment form, which just you give honest feedback. So, and this actually goes to Sources of Strength, the national team. They are also collecting data just to get feedback on how your team is doing. How active they are. What's your perception as a Source of Strength team is of your Sources of Strength output and the support in the community. Have you done any activities outside of the school? They'll just ask general questions like that, and none of these take probably more than 5-10 minutes to complete, just so you know. And then we have a very brief team status report that we just want to know, get a list of activities that you performed and that your team has performed, and anything coming up that you have ideas for. And this is kind of for an opportunity for you to brag on yourself. And the State Department of Education just loves to see, oh, wow, that's a really cool thing. It's something unique and different. And so it's just kind of a free form, just what kind of activities have you done over the year. Then the suicide ideation referral report, that is actually to be filled out by the counselor or social worker. And we track how many suicide ideation referrals you make that you've received in the counseling department, and how many of those are serious enough that they are referred to an outside entity, a counselor or anyone in the mental health community. So that is just a report that is filled. Most of these are filled out only by one person, except for those pre and post training surveys. And also keep in mind when you're looking at funds for your Source of Strength team, you are Matt McCarter is in charge of the Safe and Drug-Free Schools funds, and any school that applies to use funds for their Source of Strength program, if there are funds available, he's absolutely behind them being used for Source of Strength activities. So just keep that in mind. And I think there's a Title 4A funding stream that you can tap as well. I know some of our schools have talked about that. That's pretty relatively new compared to the Safe and Drug-Free Schools monies. And then just so you know, that this is once you get your adult advisor team recruited, you can have folks sign up for adult advisor access. And there is a sign up, quote unquote, and a register. Once you sign up, that will get you emails coming one or two a week for a 13-week period that give you ideas, give you tips. These come from the National Sources Organization, And they are usually just really short video clips of people in other schools, things that they've done, or the national organization talking about, just general hints and tips and things that they've learned over the years. So it's really helpful. So I really recommend all of your adult advisors sign up for that. And you can, there are several ways to do it. You can use your phone and fill it out on your phone if you like doing it that way, or you can go to the website and do it from your laptop, or I'm sorry, from your computer. And that only takes a few minutes. You just enter a few pieces of information. You do want to when you it's going to ask you for a school or a community name. Try to have everybody enter the same name. So like don't abbreviate it. Skyview High School, you would want to say Skyview High School all spelled out, or agree you're all just going to say Skyview. So it's that helps them track everybody at the national level. But it's not the end of the world if you don't everybody have that exactly the same. And then when you register for an adult advisor account, that gives you login access to their proprietary materials. They have some great campaign guides, step-by-step guides. You can, especially when you're first getting started, why reinvent the wheel? Why bang your head against the wall trying to think, well, is this a good idea? So that'll give you access to all kinds of good ideas that you don't have to burn your brain up trying to come up with ideas when there are already some great ideas out there. As you get rocking and rolling, you're going to come up with your own ideas. We all know that. But in the beginning, sometimes it's nice to have a little help. And also, just as you're getting familiar with the program, it's just nice to have some kind of guardrails, I guess. What makes sense, and what are some basic ideas. So that is available if you register for an account. You can get access to their adult advisor field guide online. We will bring an adult advisor field guide when we come for the training, but sometimes it's nice to be able to see the online one, because you can search in it. You can say, geez, I know that's on some page, but you can, because it's a searchable PDF, you can just search and find something really quickly that way. And you can get access to their webinars, which are webinars that they've produced for long, hour-long type of webinars as supplementary training. And especially if you have, for example, new adult advisors, probably would be really helpful in subsequent years. And when you just keep in mind this PowerPoint when you are going through getting your adult advisors to sign up. You just need a couple of little pieces of information, like that the invitation code is advisor. So this will be helpful later as you recruit your team. And so this is just pretty much what I've already talked about. And the webinars, there's a link that takes you right to the webinar page. And then on the website, they also have resources for peer leaders. Peer leaders don't have to create an account or anything, but they can, and we really do recommend that they use the phone for getting messages from sources of strength. All that they have to do is text strength to a specific number, and that's in here, and we will tell them about that when we're there for the training. But it sends good ideas right to your peer leader phones. So it's all up to you how you want, whether you want to have them do that or not. But there are a lot of ideas on the website for your peer leaders if they if they need a little jump start, if they're just interested and want to go see what's out there. So really great website. And you can also get additional campaign materials, and just so you know, and the campaign materials you'll see will bring a kit for you. It's a lot of nice materials you're going to use in your campaigns, like your thankfulness challenge and other paper materials. You can, with the license we purchase and bestow on you through this training, you can reproduce any of those materials, or you can print them from their website, or if you want them on the original cardstock or in the original format. Some of these are nice, narrow, long tablets, for example. You can order them online, and so there are, that's another thing you could use some of your funds for. And they have some really fun materials also, like other things like a frisbee and a basketball. They have pins, they have stickers, they have sunglasses, they have source of strength bracelets, they have t-shirts, etc. So those are things to keep in mind. And so I just like to, Judy, if you have anything else that you think I missed, or let's open it up to questions.
Yeah, let's hear their questions. I think you did a great job. Thanks.
Thanks, Mom. Let's see. Okay, Lakeland Junior High has to leave. Thank you, Cherokee. Did anybody have any kind of question we can answer now? We'll certainly be available any other time too.
This is Amber for Orfino School District, or for Orfino Junior Senior High School. And I just had a question about that pre-training survey. Is that for all school staff or just the adult advisors?
It's for all school staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have it available online, so they can easily fill it out, or we can get you a PDF of it and you can print them and then mail them back to us, or scan them and email them back to us.
All right. Thank you.
Totally up to you. And Shauna is asking, will we be notified when the stipend will be issued to the district? Yes, someone from Idaho Lives Project will let you know when those stipends are mailed out, so are transferred. They just go a direct transfer from SDE to your district. And
I'll run past this for tomorrow. I'll get those done.
Good questions. Anybody else have anything? All right.
Sorry, are you still, Jennifer?
Yes.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute my computer and I wasn't.
Totally understand.
This is Amber again. Sorry. So I am the school nurse for our district, and I helped apply for this grant. And my question is, I'm just kind of confused on where I stand on if I should be an adult advisor, if I shouldn't. I don't have a presence at the school every day because I'm at 5 different schools throughout the week. What do you guys recommend? I guess. I don't know. I don't know if I should kind of leave it more to the teachers that are up there, the staff.
Well, we certainly have counselors that are part-time who actually run the whole thing and are an adult advisor. I think it depends on how you feel about it, and obviously the rest of your team. But do you feel like you have a easy back and forth with the students, that they would see you as somebody to go to, or are you really just sort of circling above and not necessarily connected to the kids?
You know, it depends on, I'm not at that level as much as some of the teachers there,
Well,
for sure.
sure. Yeah.
Um,
And that's absolutely understandable. Yeah.
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 Can I jump in?
Yeah.
We have
Absolutely.
lots of, we have several, I shouldn't say lots, we have several school nurses who are divided among schools.
Uh-huh.
Because of email, it's really easy to share who's going to do what as adult advisors. Maybe you're going to divide up your team, and somebody's going to work on maybe a bulletin board or the art part of that. And maybe somebody else wants to do a video, and they're going to meet with those kids on a different day. So as long as you feel comfortable, you will have connections to kids after this training. I'm going to promise you that. But
Okay.
it depends on how you feel and how your team feels. But we have lots of people who are not there. We have one school who has only one person at school and community people. So
Right. Okay.
whatever works.
Amber, I would
Uh-huh.
just say maybe you don't want to be the program lead,
Yeah.
Right.
and maybe you want to be one of the adult advisors. You know, you could
Right.
you could how many kids do you have at your school?
Oh, there's somewhere around 400 or so, give or take.
Okay, so you're going to want to have at least 4 adult advisors, and so maybe there could be 4 adult advisors with a program lead, one of those adult advisors program lead, and you could come as the 5th person and train and just take it from there. And then,
Okay.
because there's nothing wrong with having extra adult advisors.
Well, that's what my thoughts. I want to, because I am often a resource. People reach out to me and, for students and adults, and I want to be there and I want to soak up as much of this as I can. And I want to be an access for people, but I just worry if I'm not, it was just, I guess, more of a concern if I'm not there all the time, and I don't want to kind of drop the ball and not
Sure,
be able to help. So.
Yeah, so you probably don't want to be the leader of this
Right.
organization, or this team. Do you know who is going to be the leader? Has that been determined?
We have some really good ideas. We have
Okay,
our
great.
school counselor. She's probably going to be not necessarily an adult advisor, but we have a list of names, and we have some really great staff who are very passionate about this. So
Great.
we're on the right road, I think.
Great. Okay, that sounds good. No, I would just play it by ear then. Go to the training and try to make the team meetings and see how it goes.
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll send out the recording probably tomorrow. Make it available on our YouTube channel, and you can watch it there or download it and watch it at your convenience. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for applying for this grant, and thanks for caring about your kids and community. Bye.
Bye.